Hey everyone, welcome to Christians and Culture. Today, with Mother's Day right around the corner, I just wanted to take a day and celebrate moms. Um, Throughout history, Christians have been typically very good about celebrating mothers, not as good about celebrating women in general, but usually pretty good about celebrating mothers. And that's a very good thing. We should celebrate when a woman has taken on the responsibility of being a mother and is doing it to her God given potential. It's not something that should be shied away from. It's not something that should be hidden in a corner. It's not something that should be pushed away and, oh, that's just part of your duty. Do it quietly and you don't get any accolades for it. Quite the opposite. We should celebrate motherhood and we should celebrate fatherhood, but it's not Father's Day, it's Mother's Day coming up. Now, last week we talked a little bit about fathers and really training up children. And I made a point last week that that doesn't mean moms have nothing to do with it. Quite the opposite. Moms are vitally important to the raising up of children. Throughout Scripture, it's typically mom who is the one who is holding everything together. It may be dad's job to train up, but when the kid was hurt, he went to mom. When the kid needed comfort, he went to mom. Mom is the one that glued the family together, pulled everything into one spot. So that's why we see throughout Scripture this command not to just honor your father for children, but to honor your father and mother. In fact, it was so important to God, he put it into the Ten Commandments. Exodus 20, verse 12 says, "Honor your father and your mother, that your days may be long in the land that the Lord your God is giving to you." And of course, later on, Paul would make the indication that, this was the first command with a promise, that if you honored your father and mother, it would go well with you. So far from seeing Mother's Day and Father's Day as some kind of holiday for, as the joke is said, Hallmark to make some more money, I think Christians should take it seriously. We should take time out of our day to honor fathers and mothers. They are doing a job that is vitally important. We can't complain about a world that seems to not care about Christ and at the same time not honor fathers and mothers who are doing God's work. So today, as I talk to you about fathers, as I talk to you about mothers, I want to hone in on one specific story. I like this story a lot. We kind of gloss over this part typically when we go to it in Scripture, but it's one of my favorite stories in Scripture, and it's the story of when Jesus turns water into wine. We usually start the story with the miracle. Jesus turns the water into wine, but there's a part right before that that I want to read, that it's so important and shows just how important mothers are in the lives of not just their children, but in taking care of the church in general. John 2, starting in verse 1. On the third day there was a wedding at Cana in Galilee, and the mother of Jesus was there. Jesus also was invited to the wedding with his disciples. When the wine ran out, the mother of Jesus said to him, "They have no wine." And Jesus said to her, "Woman, what does this have to do with me? My hour is not yet come." Now, admittedly, I maybe read that a little more sarcastic than Jesus probably said it. Even though he used the term woman, that wasn't a term of dismissal as it would be today. Don't say that to your mom, just FYI, not in modern America. I love this part that follows after, though. Jesus says, what is that? How is that my problem? This isn't part of my ministry. I'm not here to do this yet. And what I love about Mary's answer, she doesn't plead with Jesus. She doesn't go on and say, "All right, I know, but, do you just love your mom and do it for her?" She doesn't go and say, "All right, well, fine, you have bigger things to worry about." She entirely ignores what he just said. And in verse 5, his mother said to the servants, "Do whatever he tells you." She just assumes Jesus is going to do what I asked him to do. Why? Because I'm mom. I'm mom. Jesus obeyed his mom. Mothers, you are so vitally important. Your authority and your teaching and what you do for your children is such a vital part of raising up the next generation. You should never take that lightly. And we should honor it and consider it something worthy of praise. We're going to be talking a little bit about this Sunday morning, and it won't be a Mother's Day sermon specifically, but you can't ignore the fact that if we want to live lives holy to God, especially at home, both mom and dad have to be on the same page, and mom has a position in that. Mom has to be active in the holy relationship, active in bringing up the kids. I'm going to leave us here today with 2 Timothy 1, verse 4 through 5. This is Paul as he's writing to Timothy. And as is common throughout the scriptures, mom played an important part in Timothy's life. Paul does not credit Timothy's father or Timothy's grandfather with the great faith that they had in bringing Timothy to God. Paul credits his mother and his grandmother. Mom and grandma had a very important role to play in Timothy's life. They were the ones that pushed and grew him up in the faith of Jesus. And that's something that ought to be celebrated. Paul realized that, and so Paul celebrated it himself. 2 Timothy 1, verse 4. As I remember your tears, I long to see you that I may be filled with joy. I am reminded of your sincere faith, a faith that dwelt first in your grandmother Lois and your mother Eunice, and now, I am sure, dwells in you as well. Moms, you have such an important part to play in the lives of your children. You have such an important part to play in the lives of young people, in the congregation, and in the community surrounding us. You pull everything together. Yeah, it might fall to the dads to train up a child in the way they should go. That might be the duty of fathers. But they can't do it without mom. Not properly. You have such an important role in bringing up the next generation. And I hope that this week, as we celebrate that, you'll take a moment to revel in that, to be appreciative of the task given to you, to look at what has been given to you and say, this is a God-given duty, and I will fulfill it to the best of my abilities. And everybody else, I hope you'll take a moment, whether it's Mother's Day or not, when you're watching this, and thank your mom. Or thank your wife if she's the mom. Appreciate the mothers around us for what they're doing and the important role they play in the lives of the next generation. That's it for here in Christians and Culture. I hope that encourages you today and encourages you to maybe make a phone call that you've been putting off for a while, or say something nice to your wife or your mother today. And until the next one, we'll see you guys in the next video. Bye, everybody.